Derry Williams says his hair gives him pride.
Without my hair, I wouldn't be the person that I am today.
The 17-year-old wants to be a veterinarian, runs track too, and hopes for a scholarship, but he fears that won't happen. He's homeschooled, has been since his family moved to East Bernard from Ohio in February.
The boys cannot have hair past their ears. And I explained to her that my son had locks in his hair. And she was like, oh, well, he's going to have to cut those.
East Bernard ISD student handbook outlines its dress code and hair policy, which also forbids, quote, braided hair or twisted rose strands.
The thing that appalls me the most in this situation is the absolute blatant and disgusting display of racism. And some people might push back and say, well, Precious, it doesn't apply to just Black people. You know, that rule is about not having hair that is a certain length as a guy. That applies to everybody, white and Black. Okay, show me the white people who wear their hair in cornrows, braids, and twists on a everyday basis like Black people do, and then come back and tell me that this is not rooted in racism. And this is not the only time that this has happened.
A Texas family is threatening legal action against their school district after their teenage son was told he could not walk at graduation because of his hair. The Barbers Hill School District told Deandre Arnold that his long dreadlocks violate its dress code. Deandre is being forced to either cut his hair or face an in-school suspension. The Arnold family says this is about race.
When you heard they wanted him to cut his hair, and they're saying it's a dress code thing, do you believe that?
No. We're located in one of the most racist counties in the state of Texas.
You think it's all
I don't think
racist?
I know. I know.
Every school district in the nation has a dress code. I don't think you can go to school in your underwear.
Who do you think you are to tell someone that the way that your hair grows out of your scalp is unacceptable to our standard to be able to go to school? This is one of the reasons why I get so frustrated when people try to tell me that there's no such thing as systemic racism. Systemic racism is not just about police brutality. That's one way that it manifests in our society, but it shows itself in many different areas in our lives, and hair is one of them. Where do we think that this came from? This desire to try to make Black people conform their hair practices and their hairstyles to only European standards. Where did that come from? Where did that start? Before colonization and before Western European beauty standards became the norm in our world, African people took tremendous pride in their hair and would wear such elaborate hairstyles. It would signify things about you, where you came from, your tribe, your family, whether or not you were married. The Africans that were sold into slavery were forced to have their heads shaved as a way to control them and strip away all of the norms and the identity that they had before. And over time, they forgot those practices and traditions that they used to do to their hair. And yes, we're no longer in Jim Crow era, thank God. We've had the civil rights movement, thank God. But to act as if remnants of that time are not still very much alive in our society today is to just be willfully ignorant of what is happening around you.
High school softball player says she wants to put an end to rules that discriminate against Black student athletes because of their hair. This comes after she says she was forced to cut her braids during a game in North Carolina.
Yeah, this is a photo of sophomore Nicole Pyles playing in her team's final home game of the season in Durham last month, just before she cut the beads out of her hair. Pyles says she was forced to do it or leave the game after the umpire told her coach that her hairstyle covered the number on the back of her jersey. The state's High School Athletic Association has sided with the umpire, saying the rules forbid the use of hair beads.
And some people might push back and say, but Precious, you can't wear beads in your hair if you're playing softball. That's a safety concern. What if she's running and she turns sharply and she whacks somebody in the eye and then they're blind? Okay, sure, I'll play along with that. So explain to me then why things like hair clips, bobby pins, barrettes, scrunchies, hair ties, why are those all allowed and not prohibited? Because as far as I understand, any one of those hair accessories could also be a safety hazard to someone else if it were to hit you in the eye, right? Could it be that those are not prohibited because those hair accessories are not just worn by people of color and are oftentimes worn by white people? We already have all of the subliminal messaging in our world about our hair not being good enough, our hair not being acceptable, European enough. It's hard enough to break out of that mentality and be strong enough in yourself to wear natural black hairstyles. And I know so many black women today that are still just so uncomfortable with wearing natural black hairstyles. So to read about stories like this, it's just, it drives me crazy. And if that belief wasn't already in that individual's mind, you're creating it. And it's just so sickening to me to think that the same people who want to double down on these rules and say, no, we're not going to change them. No, you can't come in here if that is your hair type. Those same individuals are going to church on Sunday and praising hallelujah. How do you go to church on Sunday and listen to a message about God and God's creation and how we're all made in his image and how when we're reunited with him, there will be no difference in race or gender? How do you listen to all of that and then on Monday try to put down, try to prohibit, try to stifle his creation? We were blessed with that kind of hair. Blessed, keyword, blessed. Not cursed, not stricken, but blessed. We were blessed with hair that has the unique and amazing ability to defy gravity and grow up to the heavens. Hair that, if left untouched, has a mind of its own and can create tendrils and dreadlocks. We were blessed with that. And we have every right to grow it, to glorify God's creation. And it hurts my heart because when you look in our community, we forget that. We forget how amazing our hair is. And it's hard to remember that when your world tells you that it's not. And people will say, why are you so upset? It's just hair. It's not a big deal. It's just hair. Like, get over it. It's not just hair. It's so much deeper than that. It's part of your identity. I'm a child of God. That is my identity. That is the most important aspect of my identity. And it's the part of my identity that when everything in this world falls away, it's the only part of my identity that will matter, right? I understand that. But it's not the only aspect of my identity. And it would be willfully ignorant of us to act as if we are not treated based upon the other aspects of our identity. Hair being one of them. It's maddening that in 2022 that we still have to try to fight for the right to just be who we are. For those of you who are not aware, there's a bill called the Crown Act that was recently passed by our House of Representatives. And the Crown Act stands for Create a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. And it was created in 2019 to ensure protection against discrimination based on race-based hairstyles by extending statutory protection. I watched the debate and the vote when that happened, I think it was a month or two back. I was so interested to watch it because I wanted to understand what would be the opposition to saying we don't condone discrimination in the workplace, in school, etc., based upon race-based hairstyles. Like, if we live in a country where there's no more systemic racism, what could be the opposition to that? Let me show you what the opposition was.
I would love to be able to have the power as a minority to bring legislation to the floor, because if we could, I tell you what, it wouldn't be this bill. It'd be a bill dealing with energy, but not the Democrats. They're going to focus on the hair bill. We want to focus on the issues the American people care about. That's the whole darn point. We should be focused on the issues the American people want us to focus on right now. Sounds to me like the Democrats are avoiding the issues the American people care about. That's our point.
Hey, Jim Jordan, if you hate black people, just say that. Because last I checked, I'm an American and I care about this issue. I'm pretty sure Diary Williams, who would like to go to school, care about this issue. So which Americans, Jimmy, are you referring to? This is one of the reasons why I wanted to create this YouTube channel. It's not just to post tutorials on how to take care of our hair. That's part of it, of course, but this is also part of it. I truly, truly believe deep in my spirit that I am being led to talk about these issues, to use my voice as best I can, regardless if 15 people hear it or 10 people hear it. I know that there is someone out there who needs to hear it. what do we do from here? Well, as I mentioned previously, the Crown Act has been passed by our House. It is now supposed to go to our Senate. You know how our government is and the games they play. Who knows when and if that will even happen. So what can you do? You can sign the petition. We're trying to get to 500,000 signatures to continue to bring more awareness to the Crown Bill. And you can contact your local representative and make it known that this is a bill that you want. Never forget that all of these congressmen, representatives, presidents, etc., whether they're Republican, Democratic, Independent, whatever, it doesn't matter. They work for us, we, the people. The problem is that oftentimes we forget the power that we have and we think that we're hopeless. What can I do? I'm just one voice. Thank God Martin Luther King didn't think that way, otherwise we would still be drinking from separate water fountains. It may take an extremely long time, but it's worth it. What else are we gonna do? We're gonna lie down and give up and play dead? No, I'm not doing that. I'm way too obnoxious and annoying to do that. No. I don't care if I have to email Jim Jordan pictures of afros every single day of my life. We will get the Crown Act passed. I hope it's in my lifetime, but I also understand that my concept of time and God's concept of time is very different. And what may seem like a lifetime to me could be a blip to him. So I encourage you to share this video with people that you know, to talk about this topic, to message your local representation, try to continue to bring awareness to this topic. And most importantly, through all of the turmoil and all of the unacceptance that you may face with your hair, never forget who you are. Never forget who you are and whose you are. It doesn't matter if the entire world is against you, because if you remember that and you remember who you are and whose you are and who created you, you will be able to endure everything.